me he's good.
Well, I was told I needed to sit down. Sit down and shut up.
Hang on. It's inside the plane. Is my hair pretty?
Check, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1,
Shiny.
Of course I am. Stop it. Can you?
Flowers are tall. If I felt like I had time, I would make them 2 inches shorter.
They're okay.
They're okay, yeah.
Here comes your wife who's going to want to get in the door. She dropped out.
They won't see. The one up here.
Oh.
The brain on.
Didn't brain her.
That's as much for me as it is for you. Shit.
What? What? What happened last week? Trouble getting on. I couldn't figure out what was going on for a while, and finally it came. It wasn't.
Testing.
Testing, testing. So it wasn't me. Well, good morning. I am Bob Hardy. Welcome to the Unity of Walnut Creek service.
And I'm Diane Hardy. Welcome to our service. The production crew here with us today includes John, our technical wizard, Dave on sound and switch, and Peter behind the camera. Annie is our beloved production manager, and she's here with us too.
We are pleased to have humorous motivational speaker and musician Greg Tamblyn as our guest musician today. Reverend Kristen is here in the sanctuary. I can see her right now, and we'll be continuing the Pillars of Enduring Joy series. The topic today is humor.
Bob.
What?
Knock, knock.
We're in the middle of a service here, dear.
Well, okay, but today's topic is humor. So, Bobby, knock, knock.
But I'm sure we're supposed to... Okay, who's there?
The cow goes...
The cow goes, who?
Cows don't go who, silly. Cows go moo. I was never very good at telling jokes. I told a chemistry joke once.
Oh, really?
But there was no reaction.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Diane. So let's get back on track by going to the home of Lisa and Tyler to hear a song you may be very familiar with.
Good morning, everybody. We've got an old favorite for you. You're probably going to know this, but we've got a few new verses for you. I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart. Down in my heart. I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. Hey, Tyler.
Yes?
What's your favorite animal?
Goats!
I've got those goats, 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 goats down in my heart. Down in my heart. Out in my yard. I've got those goats, 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 goats out in my yard.
Hi, goats.
Out in my yard to stay. I've got that piece of pizza with 3 toppings down on my plate. Down on my plate.
Oh, yum.
Down on my plate. I've got that piece of pizza with 3 toppings down on my plate. Down on my plate to stay. Oh, I'm so silly, so very silly. I feel the joy of spirit in my heart. Oh, I'm so silly, so very silly. I feel the joy of spirit in my heart. I've got that sassafras, 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 sassafras down in the depths of my heart. Down in the depths of my heart. Down in the depths of my heart. I've got that sassafras, 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 sassafras down in the depths of my heart. Down in my heart to stay. Everybody now. I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart. I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay.
So, Bobby, I think I want 3 toppings on our pizza. What do you think?
3?
Yeah, 3. I think I want. And so it's got
We're live on camera.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Lisa and Tyler. And thank to all of you for having a little humor with us this morning. So let's rein in the collective joy we have in our hearts and take a deep breath together and ground in unity. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living, of course. Our vision for the world is we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Our mission is who we have come here to be. So let's say this together. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are love, connection, service, and humor. Wisdom. Yes, it is.
If you are with us for the first time, welcome. You are invited to fill out a connection card. Connection cards are available for everyone on our Watch Live page at the Unity of Walnut Creek website. You may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback or request additional information.
Our classes and events are currently held online and by phone via our favorite, Zoom. Here are a few important announcements and opportunities. Are you looking for ways to help people in need? Well, I have a good news. Unity's Thanksgiving food drive has been expanded another week. Yesterday was very successful here at Unity. We had a lot of people dropping off gifts and bags for Thanksgiving. But we are collecting food for families in need to enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner. You're invited to purchase and pack a grocery bag or bags with non-perishable items listed on our website and drop them off at Unity's parking lot right here next Saturday, October 24th from 10 a.m. to noon. We'll be there. Costs are estimated to be about $12 a bag. Shopping is preferred, however, if you are not able to shop, you may drop off a check made payable to the Monument Crisis Center. The need is great for food security during this time. Please participate as you are able. Thank you.
This year, we're going to be offering a 2021 Animals of Unity calendar, both to
Yes.
showcase our animals and as a fundraiser for our community. A donation of $5 per animal guarantees your animal friend a place in this year's edition. The calendars will be printed on high-quality, glossy paper in time for holiday giving. A portion of the proceeds from each calendar will be donated to ARF. That's Tony LaRussa's Animal Relief Fund. Please see our website for more information on how to submit your photos and how to bid on your favorite to be the cover animal or to grace the front or back cover. Deadlines for submission are November 15th.
But we already know that our dogs will be on the cover, but do your best. Teddy. Or Teddy. Could be Teddy. Could you use an infusion of nature's beauty, quiet, and inspiration about now? I think we all would. In this eco-spiritual retreat, you will be guided into the soulful experience intended to renew and deepen your relationship with nature and reveal something new about yourself through the natural world. All this while meeting new interfaith friends. This online workshop includes time outdoors and is led by our very own Kristen today from 2 to 6 p.m. So get your shopping done first, 2 o'clock. It is sponsored by the local Interfaith Council. Please check our website for how to register by 1 p.m. today. We'll see you there.
It's voting season, not just for the nation, but for Unity of Walnut Creek as well. Mark your calendars for our annual meeting that will be held by Zoom on Sunday, November 1st at 1:30 p.m. Last Wednesday, members received an email with a link to view the 2021 budget along with an electronic ballot to vote for 3 new members on our Board of Trustees. Voting will take place online through October 28th. Please confirm that you've received your email. If you didn't receive one, be sure to check your spam folder. Sometimes it gets filed there inadvertently. But if you really didn't get an email, please feel free to call our office because we want to make sure that you have all the information you need to vote electronically by October 28th. Again, members and non-members are all welcome to attend our annual meeting on November 1st. Please see our website for a full listing and login information for all these events and more. If you're not receiving our weekly e-news, use the connection card link on the Watch Live page to stay up and stay informed. Following our service today, we invite you to log on to Zoom about 12:45 for a short virtual patio conversation before today's Eco Retreat. Prayer chaplains will also be available to pray with you during that time.
Thank you. And as we prepare for this time of meditation, let's ground with our statement of faith. But first, let's take a deep breath together just to ground ourselves and to center up. Settling into our hearts, just for a moment, we take another breath. Please join me in our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God.
Thank you. We're going to move now into our reading and meditation. We will begin with a reading, followed by some music, leading into guided meditation and silence. This week's reading comes from Anne Lamott's book, Almost Everything, Notes on Hope. It is an exploration of life's essential truths, or what she describes as everything I know about almost everything, and that I think applies to almost everyone. She's a person after my own heart. To seek peace and contentment in things outside of ourselves is futile. The desperate drive to own and control in order to fill our psychic holes, relieve anxiety, fix difficulties, and cauterize old wounds takes root at an early age and is doomed. It is like going to the hardware store for bread. Hardware stores don't sell bread. And I can live on corn nuts and paydays for only so long, probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if what we seek isn't out there for sale or to achieve, then where is it? It's everywhere, within and without, around and above, in the most ordinary and trivial, in bread and roses, in a glass of water, in dawn and midnight. All you have to do is want to see it. Joy is always a surprise and almost always a decision. Joy is portable, joy is a habit, and these days, joy can be a radical act. Joy can always be found within. So let's go there now.
I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. Go inside to find my God.
And so together we leave the world as it is to go inside and find our God. Rest assured that all the concerns or problems we may have can be picked up after this time as desired. But for now, we let go and let God. Letting all the concerns and issues fall away and taking a deep dive into the joy that resides in our hearts and our minds and every cell of our body. The joy, joy, joy down in our hearts. As we sang as the service opened today, it's discovered here even in quiet times. The quiet joy that lives and breathes and has its being inside of us, regardless of what is happening in our personal lives and the world around us. The ever-present joy is always here because the ever-present divine is always here. We find it when we go inside. We get still for a moment and drop inside our hearts. We breathe into that ever-flowing, even laughing spirit that animates us. I invite you to bring forth an image of the divine, letting it shapeshift into form. As we know, there is this vast principle that we call God. But let it take shape into joy for a moment, to laughter, to humor even. You might experience an image, a shape, a feeling, laughter even within you. Let yourself smile during this meditation, both with your mouth and your heart. Let's go inside and find our joy in the silence. When we take a moment like this with intention to connect with the joy that is always inside of us, bubbling up, ready to be felt and expressed. When we tap it in this way with intention, with a smile on our face and a smile in our heart, with an image of a laughing or a humorous or a joyful God, everything can shift from clouds to sunshine, from dark to light, from the weight of the world to feather-like freedom. And so we thank you, God, for the spirit of joy that lives in us and for calling that forth today. We have indeed gone inside to find our God of joy. And we carry it with us throughout our day and our week. When we forget, we just dip right back in. Feel a little joy. And then bring it forth out into the world that is eagerly waiting to smile and to laugh and to feel the lightness of being that we ourselves embody. Thank you, God, for helping us to lighten up today. And so it is. Amen.
Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. Life as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this life as it is, go inside to find my God. Go inside to find my God.
The 8 Pillars of Joy. That's our series that we're in right now, and doesn't it seem appropriate that one of those pillars would be humor? So last week it was humility, this week it's humor, and we're going to see how those two go together. So where does one go these days for clean jokes? That was a question I had for myself. And so I reached for a classic, church bulletin bloopers. So we just finished our flooring, as you know, downstairs in the office. It is beautiful, by the way, and I want to give big thanks to all those of you who donated. We raised half the cost, so we were able to offset that by generous donations. And then our staff got lots of support from really dedicated volunteers, such as Dimitri and Mark and Dave and Hugh and Jeff. They painted, they patched, they prepared, they moved furniture, and of course Charlene headed it all up. So big thanks to all who contributed to making that a possibility for us. So this is what was in one of the church bulletins around the idea of flooring. And of course it was somebody else's bulletin, not ours. This is the way it reads. Next Sunday, a special collection will be taken to defray the cost of our new flooring. All those wishing to do something on the new floor will be invited forward and given a piece of paper. I know it's bad, but I appreciate the laughter right here in the room. That's very helpful. So truly, as we know, it takes a village to do ministry, as I just outlined, just that project, that many hands were in the process. And it takes a village to make every little decision in ministry as well, which sometimes can be a little tedious, but in the end, we always have a better product when everybody gets to share their opinions on whatever it is that we're doing. And the truth is, ministry is all about relationships, all about community. So I'm thinking back to the first time I walked into a Unity ministry. And in this ministry, the ministers were Mike and Sarah. Now, to put it in context, my only church experience prior to that had been in the most conservative sect of the Lutheran Church. That's where I grew up. And in that experience, the minister came in with flowing robes, and then his face often turned really red as he preached about hellfire and damnation. And then his message was punctuated with some kind of dirgy hymn before and after. And then at the end of the service, it was a very formal process. We couldn't leave our seats, and as a kid, we're pretty anxious to go home and get my play clothes on. But we had to wait until the men in often three-piece suits came along and nodded us out of the row one by one. So you can imagine that this experience in a Unity church was pretty unfamiliar. So it's the first day, and up the aisle comes the janitor. He's wearing jean shorts and a sweatshirt. He's got this big loop of keys around his belt loop, and it's clanking as he goes. And I'm thinking, he must be fixing something on the stage or something. And then he picks up the microphone and he starts talking. And talking and talking and talking. This should be my cue. It's the minister, right? Not the custodian. And it turns out this guy was really funny, and it was Mike. Reverend Mike took the resources he used for the week typically were drawn from the movies he watched and the comic strips he read. And it worked for all of us. And it also was really nicely balanced because Sarah gave these much more thoughtful and serious, more meaty kinds of messages. Seemed like a perfect match. But then I come to find out they're divorced and they're still doing ministry together, which was really interesting. Well, eventually Sarah decided to take a break from ministry, and Mike actually unexpectedly made his transition. So Sarah, when she finally came back from her ministry and hiatus, it seemed like Mike's spirit of humor had descended upon her. And she was now not only thoughtful in her messages, but really funny. And so she told this story about the time while she was on hiatus. She said that she took a job for a while as a restaurant hostess. And one day she walked in, and one of her young coworkers had Julia Cameron's The Artist Way in her arm. And Sarah was so excited to make a connection like this at work, in this new environment, that she was making a spiritual connection. And she said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're reading The Artist's Way." And she said, at the time she was actually planning a retreat with Julia Cameron. And she said, "I just talked to Julia this morning on the phone." Now, this young girl, about 20 years old, does one of these. Yeah, right. And she's, popping her gum while she does this and sort of nodding and smirking. And Sarah, and then she finally just starts laughing, and she said, "Oh, excuse me, Sarah, I have to go call my friend Oprah." And then she flips around and she laughs all the way into the kitchen. And you can still hear the laughter from the other side. And there's Sarah standing watching this kitchen door, swing back and forth, hearing the laughter. And she said, "It was at that moment that I realized I had lost all sense of status." And so, our humility and our humor, they often go hand in hand. A big part of the humorous walk is the ability to laugh at ourselves. And it's no surprise that these are all connected. The root, as I mentioned last week, the Latin root of the word humility and human is the same. It's humus, not the dip, but it is humus, and it means earth. And so, too, is the root word for humor. So they're all connected. And, certainly it is when we laugh at ourselves, when we are able to relax, come back down to earth in this way, that we share our humanity. We share our common humanity in that kind of lightness of being, in the laughter. So there is an adage that laughter is the most direct line between two people. It sure seems like that's the truth. And so when we are able to laugh at ourselves, we're able to stand side by side and behold our humanity in a lighter way. It's something that actually creates a feeling of oneness. So as you might know by now, if you've been following us these 3 weeks so far in our series, it comes, the work, these 8 pillars of joy, come from these 2 amazing spiritual world leaders. They are our elder brothers, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And there's no shortage of photos of them laughing together. I just picked one. But they really embody not only joy and all these pillars that they have given us in the Book of Joy, and the subtitle of that book is Lasting Happiness in a Changing World. And it came out of their time together, being interviewed and sharing together, which was really special because they're close, but mostly they've over the years, only been involved together in kind of formal ceremonies. So they got to be really together and to share about this thing they share in their ministry, in their spirituality, in their world leadership, joy. And humor in particular, both of these guys are really funny, mischievous, and they laugh often and easily. All great things for us to learn from as spiritual leaders. So, as I mentioned, one of the ways that we can, cultivate humor in our lives is the ability to cultivate the ability to laugh at mistakes when mistakes are made, when we make mistakes, maybe even when someone else makes a mistake, to be able to lighten things up a little bit. Like, for example, the businessman who sent some flowers to his friend who was opening a new location for his business. He was really excited to get over to the reception and to see the flowers that he had sent, except he was super disappointed because the inscription said, "Rest in peace." Not only was he disappointed, he actually was kind of outraged. And so he went, I don't know if you can be kind of outraged, he was outraged. And so he went to the florist immediately and he explained what had happened, and he was just, kind of storming and raging. And she sort of broke the ice a little bit. The tension began to melt a little bit as they talked, and she apologized, and she said she would definitely give him a full refund. And then she said, though, just think about it for a minute. Somebody out in a funeral home has a beautiful arrangement, and underneath it, it says, "Congratulations on your new location." So, then the businessman laughed, like we're laughing now, and all the tension disappeared, and he left that florist shop, and he went and told his friend what had happened, and they shared a belly laugh. And so I ask you, which was the greater gift? The one that was originally intended with the message that was intended, or the laugh that they shared? The laugh that was shared between friends and the laugh that was shared between strangers. That's a gift that lasts forever. Even in just that one moment where we are completely absorbed in the now and the humor and the oneness that we have. It's truly a balm for the soul when that time stands still in that way. The expression lighten up. Well, it's quite literal, right? If we lighten up, then we actually lighten ourselves. We lighten our load. We feel lighter, maybe light as a feather. And we open ourselves to bring forth greater light into the world. So we get both out of just that simple expression to remind ourselves, to tell ourselves, maybe when we're watching too much news, or we're just getting kind of down about, tired of the pandemic, or maybe not just tired of it, we've had some serious effects that have happened in our lives because of the pandemic or other personal reasons. Whatever it is, when we find ourselves in those kinds of spaces, if we could just tell ourselves, lighten up, it can shift everything. It can bring us back then to that first pillar of enduring joy, perspective. Remember that one, when we shift perspective, everything can change. And so we can shift our perspective when we tell ourselves to lighten up, even to do some things that might bring us more joy. We could call a friend who is, and just share a laugh, or we could play with an animal or play with a child. Those activities always seem to bring joy. We could watch a silly video. We could do a little jig. We could sing a silly song. There's all kinds of things we can do to break up tension. These are what I like to call funk busters. And so you can just take on any one of these funk busters and allow it to break up the heavier energies. And then you can feel that light. And be somebody who can then embody more of that light, channel more of that light out into the world. Pure humor isn't about demeaning ourselves or others. So when I say the ability to laugh at ourselves, that's not what I mean. I really mean standing together and beholding, just, being human, making mistakes, doing silly stuff, doing things that, maybe we didn't intend. But even in our divine knowing, we can appreciate our humanity, like Jesus and Moses, who went golfing one day. And Jesus says to Moses, "Watch this drive. I'm going to hit it just like Tiger Woods." And so he hits it, and it goes dog-legging off to the right and into the lake. And Moses says, "No problem, I'll go get it." So Moses goes and he parts the waters, and he walks out and he grabs the ball and he brings it back. And Jesus says, "Okay, this time I'm really going to hit it like Tiger Woods. Watch." He drives it again. Dog legs over to the lake, lands right in the middle of the water. You know what happens? Moses goes, he parts the waters, he gets the ball. I don't know why the jokes always are in threes, but it seems they are. Three's a charm. That's actually what Jesus said when the ball came back. Three's a charm. So this time, I'm really going to hit it like Tiger Woods. And Moses says, "All right, I'm watching, I'm listening." And so Jesus hits it. Guess what happens? Over into the lake once again. This time Moses looks at him and says, "You're going to get it this time." Jesus says, "No problem." So he goes and he walks across the water. And he's looking around and trying to find the ball. And by now there's like a crowd beginning to gather around the lake. And one guy says, "Who does this guy think he is, Jesus Christ?" And Moses says, "No, Tiger Woods." If you're afraid that Jesus didn't find that funny, he's laughing right now, as you can see. And he had, I think, probably a really great sense of humor. Jesus loved to party. If you read the scriptures, you'll see that he loved to gather with friends. He enjoyed some wine, some food, seamless robes. I mean, he liked to have a good time, I'm pretty sure. And I think one of the things he liked to do was to remind his contemporaries of the Hebrew scriptures that they all shared. So I imagine him quoting something like this after he just laughed about his own joke. In Psalm 126:2, it says, "Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them," with his wonderful sense of humor. I added that last part. But it's true that God has this really wonderful sense of humor. Have you noticed that? There's a saying that says, you want to make God laugh? Tell God what your plans are. And I've noticed, too, that sometimes I'll notice that sense of humor of the divine when it's usually in hindsight. So I've maybe didn't or followed guidance and then, realized that, oh, wow, things wouldn't have worked out very well had I not followed that guidance. That's always a funnier one than the other way around, when I didn't follow the guidance and it didn't work out at all. So that's when the rubber hits the road, right? When we're standing in the midst of the disappointment, when we're standing in the midst of the mess. And then we have to dig to find the humor. But it's worth doing, because with a sense of humor, everything shifts, everything changes. The light breaks through. And so that's really where the work comes in. The Dalai Lama and Archbishop do this beautifully in really heavy situations. The Archbishop talks about how, remember the Tutus and the Hutus, I think? The two tribes anyway in Rwanda, and the post period of time of healing after that civil war. And the Archbishop comes in and he tells a story about big-nosed people and small-nosed people. And it is so silly and so ridiculous that everybody begins to laugh in the room of both tribes because they see how ridiculous prejudice is. that the big-nosed people decided that they were better somehow, and the small-nosed people, suddenly were demeaned. And then there's all this stuff that happens right between us. And so you can imagine, with all that heavy energy, with those heavy hearts, with all that loss and tragedy and trauma, that in this room, these two groups could share a laugh like that. That is so healing, so powerful. And humor can be that for us. It takes a while to get practiced at it or get comfortable with it, I think, but we all have it within us. And it's about calling that forward. There are times when we are embarrassed, and what do? Sometimes it's appropriate maybe to apologize in a situation, perhaps, depending upon what the situation is, and to then relax, to breathe, to lighten up, right? And just to know that as we do that, instead of shaming or beating ourselves up, because that is like the furthest thing from joy, right? When we are in a place of something's gone wrong, we're maybe embarrassed on top of that, and then we add shame to it and beating ourselves up. Oh, that's going to be a fun day, right? So instead, we don't want to go there. And when we find ourselves sort of spiraling down into that, we can find a way to lighten up. We can even just tell ourselves, lighten up, find the light, find something of levity in here, find something to laugh about, and everything can change. So this quality lives in us. I think a lot of us don't think we're very funny, and we really admire people who are funny, typically, because who doesn't love to have a good laugh? And, but the truth is that if we admire it, we know this, right, in our spiritual teachings, if you see it, if you spot it, you got it. If you admire it in somebody else, it means it's being reflected from inside of you, that it's something that wants to be brought forward. And so it's just a matter of opening up, relaxing, and allowing ourselves to be a little silly. And then it comes forth. So, it turns out that God wasn't always very funny. Apparently, he had serious anger management issues, according to Greg Tamblyn. And so Greg's going to tell us a little bit more about it in this brief history of God. Let's take a look.
So this one, we had an idea about how our concept of God tends to change as we grow and evolve, both personally and as a culture or even a species. Now, everybody here knows about string theory, right? Right? Okay. This is called A Brief History of God, or G-string theory. In the beginning, there was lots of competition. Goddesses and gods of every disposition. Merciful, mean, laid back and hyper. And little baby gods that flew around in diapers. Animals, pranksters, destroyers, creators. Flute players, lute players, nymphs and satyrs. So many gods, it was hard to keep them sorted. God had multiple personality disorder. Well, keeping track of all these gods was no fun. And finally, some people said, let's cut it down to one. But the one God was angry, always finding fault. There was banishment and floods and pillars of salt. Well, why? Was God traumatized at an early age by standing too close to the Big Bang? Was it nature or nurture or Satan's little goblins? God had anger management problems. Well, there were other issues that messed with serenity, like this long-term question of sexual identity, the feminine divine or the male autonomous. God was so confused. Am I androgynous? And then on top of that, what was challenging the most was trying to figure out what the heck's the Holy Ghost. And God needed time off and checked into a clinic, poor old God was becoming schizophrenic. While in for treatment, God sent some folks to teach us, like Krishna and Buddha, Muhammad and Jesus. On some things they agree, on other things they don't. And if you choose the wrong one, some say your soul is toast. Now everybody's praying by all these different rules. Muslims 5 times a day, Buddhists quite a few. Hindus and Christians whenever there's a need, and Unitarians would rather plant a tree. Now God's come a long way from that early dysfunction, and now science has brought us to this beautiful junction. The key to the theory is that every single thing is made up entirely of vibrating strings. Well, this is what musicians have known all along. The universe is really just one big song. And there you have it, friends. That's the story so far. We're all just musical strings in God's big guitar. We're all just God's strings, G strings, and the cosmic guitar.
Well, there you have it, the bare truth. We're all just G strings in the cosmic guitar. I am so glad we finally have that existential question answered once and for all. Who am I? So when next time somebody asks, or you're asked to do deep inquiry and meditation about that, you can just come forward with Greg Tamblyn and quote him, G string in a cosmic guitar. It's always good for our relationships, to find humor. Have you noticed that? It sort of breaks things up when there's maybe differences going on, or, we all have our own little quirks. We all have different ways of doing things. So you can either let those differences be maddening, or you can let them be funny. And it's much more fun to let them be funny. So one of the things that Brenly does when I get to tell on her, because I get to talk today, so maybe sometimes she'll get to tell on me. Not anytime soon, though. So anyway, one of the things that's different about us is that when I go away, I can pretty much count on a couple things that she'll do, one or the other at least. Likely when I get back, a closet, a cupboard, or a whole room will be reorganized. And, while I appreciate that, because it's great that somebody's doing it, I usually can't find stuff then. And then if it's been a while when I'm looking for the thing and she's already reorganized, she doesn't really remember where she put it. So that can be a little maddening. But the other thing that she often does is she buys something. She's a little more of a material gal than me, and so she doesn't have to go through the tedious process of, talking it through with me. She can just go ahead and get it. And so the last time I went somewhere, well, that wasn't the last time before. So last fall, I came home, and she hadn't just bought a thing. There was a living, breathing being that she had acquired. It was a dog named Samson. She said, "Hey, this is Samson." And she says, he's just a foster dog, and we can always take him back. We're not going to be keeping him because he's a foster dog, So he needed a place to stay. And, of course, I could tell she was already completely attached and in love with him, and she had named him. And so I'll show you his face in a few minutes, and you'll see why nobody could ever return him. So years ago, we were planning on adopting a child, a human being, and it was a foster to adopt program or to just straight up adoption. So we were in that process, and we actually eventually decided not to go that route because our goddaughter Grace and her mom moved in about that time, and we were so enjoying that role that we decided to just stick with that. So you can imagine my surprise when I came home in July from being away with my sister, and I found this in the driveway. Let's take a look. Yeah. So I immediately went up and made sure there wasn't a live baby in it. Whew, there was not. And come to find out, it's not a baby carriage, it's a dog carriage. I didn't even know these things existed. So it turns out we've got these two small dogs. I was always kind of a big dog person and didn't actually think small dogs were really like real dogs. And but I've really warmed up. I love it because they're on our laps and so on. Anyway, I could go on about that, but I won't go on about that because I want to talk about the dog carriage. So we put these two dogs in the dog carriage, and I said to her, "Oh my gosh, I feel so ridiculous. Here we are, bringing these dogs to the park." I kind of felt like the lady with the purse and the little dog, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's just so not my style. So there we go, on this, and I tell you, in no time, I got over myself because it brings so much joy. For one thing, the dogs absolutely love it. It's better than a car ride. They can sniff and look, and yeah, they're just way into it. And then I love it because I can go faster and further with my little dogs who dig in when they don't want to go any further. I don't know if anybody else has that experience, but they just sit down, and they're like stone. And, I don't want to be dragging them along, of course. So you can scoop them up now and put them in the carriage, and we can keep going. And this is probably the most important one. Everyone around us gets so much joy out of these two dogs in the dog carriage. So maybe we should take a look, actually, so you can enjoy them too. So I know they look like they go together, and they do. They look the same direction together. And anyway, so almost everybody seems to really get so much joy out of this. So they point and they laugh and they smile and they so cute, and they ooh and they ah. And one day I was at an intersection with the dogs in their carriage, and this woman slowed almost to a stop, slowing traffic, and she was just staring at us, grinning ear to ear. She pulled over, turned around, kept looking and smiling, and then she rolled down her window and said, "Thank you so much. You just so made my day. You can't even know," and then drove off. And I tell you what, I will take those dogs everywhere in that little carriage. Even if I still felt ridiculous, which I don't, I wouldn't care because it brings so much joy. And it's those things that we want to do more of because that's what our world needs, right? That's what we need, is a little levity, a little joy, a lightening up. So now that's what we do. And whatever it is that makes you feel ridiculous, I want to encourage you to know that's Spirit nudging you to move in that direction, to move into a greater experience of joy and humor. So whatever it is, feel ridiculous, lighten up, bring some levity to any mistakes that are made anywhere around you. We can own this innate sense of divinity, which is this trait of humor, which I believe is really a spiritual quality, and we can connect with one another through our shared humanity when we embody this. So the world needs smiles, joy, and laughter, and you can bring it. All of the crazy things, costumes, silly hats, singing out of tune, clumsy dancing, and my personal favorite, the cacophony of praying at the same time at different internet speeds on Zoom. So they're all welcome reprieves, and I invite you this week to just really take on this trait of humor and really enjoy the week and beyond, and get out of our comfort zone and fully into humor. So let's say this affirmation together and just really bring it home and hold it together throughout the week. So together, I lighten up and let myself feel ridiculous. I have fun and spread joy. And I invite you now to enjoy some contagious laughter. And it's
He can't breathe.
was too much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that message today, Kristen. The opportunity to have joy and to find humor, that's a conscious decision. We have to remember that it's available to us. It doesn't just come naturally, and it's something that we can now take with us and reach out and incorporate into our week. I remember the word of Madeleine L'Engle, who wrote A Wrinkle in Time. She said, levity is the opposite of gravity, and it is a force of nature. So we just affirm that for ourselves this week. Whether you have a joy or concern on your heart today, our prayer chaplains are available to provide prayer support during our virtual patio conversation after the service. You may also contact the prayer chaplains by completing a connection card on the Watch Live page or click on the prayer request at the bottom of the homepage. Our prayer team will be praying with you throughout the week.
All right, now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. Our spiritual home thrives with your continued generosity, and then I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature.
In addition to sending checks through regular mail, we have faith in the post office.
Yes,
Or
we do.
direct deposit through your bank. There are 2 ways to give online. You can click on the donate button on the Watch Live page or download the Give app, where give is spelled G-Y-V-E.
That's right. I invite you to repeat our prosperity affirmation with me. Together, divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you.
You breathe out, I breathe in. We're sharing molecules again. Oxygen, hydrogen. Do you know where your atoms have been? Parts of me were once in you. Genghis Khan and Gandhi too. Jesus Christ and dinosaurs. Princess Di and Dinah Shore. All these atoms everywhere circle back so we can share. No escaping, yes it's true. Parts of me were once in you. My whole body, smooth and hairy, is really very temporary. Every year a new epidermis. Maybe next year will be firmer. There's some atom somewhere in Spain I could use back in my brain. They stay a while, then they leave. They only fit what we conceive. All these atoms here on earth get recycled, death to birth, like some ever-changing brew. Parts of me were once in you. As hard as it might seem to be, parts of you were once a tree. once a fish in the primal soup. Something's dinner, something's poop. 15 billion years ago, the Big Bang was quite a show. All this time, now here we are. Parts of you were once a star. All these atoms we've collected only mean that we're connected, since we share what we're made of. Don't you think that calls for love? So take a deep breath, share some atoms. It's not like you have any choice.
Well, a big heartfelt thank you to Greg Tamblyn for being our guest artist today. If you want to learn more about Greg, you can visit his website at gregtamblyn.com. And he also has a humor blog, by the way, so you'll want to check that out. And also, Bob and Diane, just a really big thank you to you two today for facilitating. I know that Brenly appreciated a morning to work in the yard. And so now as we bless our offerings, we bless both the giver and the gift, that it may go forth and multiply and increase the good in our lives. So let's do that. Let's bless this gift and know it multiplies in all of our lives. Together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. We continue to give thanks and to bless those who are really helping our society hum along. And so we're blessing our frontline workers, our activists, and our firefighters right now. So let's continue to bless them and hold them in the light together. Together, frontline workers, activists, and firefighters, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. So it is. So as you know, our children meet on Zoom every Sunday, and the last couple Sundays, they have been Zooming from the East Coast. And so, not all of them, but Maddie, Millie, and Michelle, the 3 M's have. And Maddie and Millie have this adorable video, once again, from literally the farm in Vermont. Let's take a look.
It's Maddie and Millie. And we are at our Gigi and Pop Pop's farm in Vermont. And it's a rainy day. And we picked some apples and grapes to make apple pie and grape jam. We like to call the grape jam Fam Jam. Yeah. And we have, and our Gigi and Pop Pop have some goats, so you might hear them in the background. And I'm going to peel the apple for the apple pie, because we don't like apple pies with skin in them. And our lesson last week was God is in us as in a wave. And we talked about the ocean last week with our cousin on Zoom. And here it is. It looks like a really big slinky. It kind of looks like a beehive to me. Yeah, but now it looks like a slinky beehive. Okay. And I have a grape, and I'm going to show you how to peel it. You squeeze it. Then you drop it on a pan or a bowl. Bye, Unity. Bye. We love you.
Well, wasn't that fun? Let's bless all of our children, youth, and teachers together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. Now it's time for our prayer of protection. Let's hold everybody, the whole world, all life, animals and plants included, as we speak this prayer of protection. Together again. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Well, stick around until the end of our service. We want to make sure that you can see some new community selfies, and we always want more. So please send your selfies or your silent waving video to office@unityofwalnutcreek.org. Now, our peace song. You are the love and the light and the humor on earth right now. So shine your funny light, have fun, and spread joy. Blessings.
When you go to the delicatessen store, don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst. I repeat what I just said before. Don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst. Oh, buy the corned beef if you must. The pickled herring you can trust. And the lox puts you in orbit, A-OK. But that big hunk of liverwurst has been there since October 1st. And today is the 23rd of May. So when you go to the delicatessen store, don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst. It'll make your insides awful sore. Don't buy the liverwurst. Don't buy the liverwurst.
I'm going to lay down my burden. Well, down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Going to lay down my burden. Well, down by the riverside. Steady, boy, no more, no more. Well, it ain't gonna steady, one more. Well, it ain't gonna steady, one more. riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Going to lay down my burden, down by the riverside. But steady, it won't no more, no more. Well, it ain't gonna steady, won't no. Well, it ain't gonna steady, won't no. Well, it ain't gonna steady, won't no. Steady, won't no. Well, it ain't gonna steady, won't no. Well, it ain't gonna steady, it won't no more. I'll never lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Going to lay down my sword and shield, well, down by the riverside. But steady, it won't no more, no more. Well, it ain't gonna steady, it won't no more. I ain't going to think about my troubles anymore. I'm going to pick up my fifth and bowl. I'm going to play by the river shore. I ain't going to think about troubles and war. I'm going to steady, shout for joy, and I ain't going to steady, it won't no more. I'm going to try on my long white robe down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Going to try on my long white robe down by the riverside. To steady, it won't no more, no more. Well, I'm going to lay down the sword and shield, no more fighting on the battlefield. Stick my sword in the golden sand, down by the river I will stand. Then I'll shine up the sword and armor, no more fighting in this land. Ain't gonna steady,